Hey everybody, it's Jonathan again, and once again, I've completely just jumped right into a project and didn't really document it. So I apologize. I do this every time, and I start these projects. I'm like, ooh, how cool would it be to record this and post it on YouTube? And I never do it. So I kind of stopped partway through this whole process of just making these props, and they're not really props for anything specific. I just kind of just got inspiration out of nowhere and decided to make these items based on one of my absolute most favorite movies, just to have in my house as decor. So I went ahead and I did quite a bit of research just to try to get them as somewhat screen accurate as possible, but not completely screen accurate, because these aren't going to be used for any sort of anything at all. No, they won't be used for movies or videos. Basically, just for my own personal enjoyment and home decor. So let me move the camera around and I'll show you what I've been kind of working on. Alrighty, so as you can see here, I've got these pyramids, or these basically, well, you probably know what these are already. So these are the stones from the fifth element, the elemental stones. So I've got two over here that are kind of drying right now, so they're a little wet. And then these here are ones I've kind of been working on that are already dry, that I'm going to continue the process of what I'm doing. And then I also made 4 bases, which I'm building up. So these were the very first ones. You can actually see on the bottom here, it's cardboard. So what I'm doing, and this is the very first, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, and so I'm sort of in this experimental phase right now, just kind of trying different things. And what I did was I took cardboard. I have all these boxes laying around my home, so I took cardboard and I cut them into the pieces that I need. I'm just gonna move these a little bit more out of the way so I don't knock it over. 1 and 2. So I cut cardboard. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and you'll see that it's got a flat edge here, and then the sides, tops, and bottoms. I just cut them out with an X-Acto blade. So I found the dimensions that I needed for these particular stones on the RPF, which is the Replica Prop Forum, which I'm a member of. And so I will post the dimensions for these down below in the description bar, and any other pertinent information. But these are going to be fairly screen accurate to the stones, the elemental stones, the 4 stones that were pulled out of the diva's stomach. So these aren't going to be the prop replica stones of the Egyptian temple. I believe those are probably bigger. And I also did a little bit of research, just trying to find other information. So these are basically the very, very first ones that I started making yesterday, by making the cardboard frame, so to speak. And what I've been doing is I've got all of this joint compound that I really have had around for quite a long time. So I decided to go ahead and use it up. This was a full container. So I decided that I was going to completely try to use it up and see what I can do. So I'm just taking a sculpting tool here and just getting a little bit out, putting it on, and then just building up the layers. Now, again, this is basically, I'm doing this just kind of experimental right now. I mean, I've never made these before, so it's like icing a cake. And I've been really liking this method because I can really control what these stones look like. I can kind of get some of the texture into it already as I'm sculpting them. So, like I said, I've never made these before, so I'm just kind of doing this as an experiment, just to kind of see how this goes. I've got all of this joint compound that just isn't being used, and it's cheap. Joint compound is really, really inexpensive. This is just a really long process. Joint compound also dries very fast, which is kind of awesome. I'm really liking the fact that it dries extremely fast. I can just hit it with a blow dryer or my heat gun, and then it'll just dry really, really, really fast. So I'm just putting thin layers just so that the drying time is not too terribly long. And then I'm just kind of scraping thin layers around the object. And I basically did the same thing with the bases. I am going to probably have to pour plaster on top because I made these just high enough so that these will sit on top, but then there is a insert, not an insert, there's a little, a well the same shape as the stone that these kind of nestle into as these are sitting on top. So I'm going to have to build up the bases quite a bit, at least another half an inch with something, and doing joint compound for that process is really going to take a very, very long time. So I'm going to kind of basically just coat these as best as I can and just kind of build out the sides, and then pour plaster on top with a template of the bottom of this stone so that this will have a nice little base for this to sit on. When I get these built up just enough, I'm going to take either a Dremel or a joint compound is pretty soft as well. So maybe with just a little bit of water I can carve out the elemental signs. And I'll post a picture of something as a reference if you don't know what these are. So as I was doing this and as I have been working on these, and then I've just, after every coat is dry, I just go and I just really lightly sand down any rough spots. Evening out the bases has been really, really important as well, just to make sure that these are nice and level and they don't wobble around too much and you got a nice flat base. So I decided also that I would try another method just as a standby. And basically I did this next method just for the sake of, again, experimentation and just trying to get my head kind of wrapped around this whole project. So what I started was with these, and these are actually plaster. This is solid plaster. Same dimensions. These are actually going to end up being just a little bit bigger because I am building up joint compound onto a core that is exactly this size. So I'm just kind of waiting for these to just harden up just a little bit more and to set. I just poured these last night at about 1 a.m. They aren't exactly perfect, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that. I do have to go in and kind of sand down the edges and a little bit of the color. I was using foam core, which is Let me grab a piece here. So I'm just using foam board. And I buy this, surprisingly, at the dollar store. I can get big giant sheets. And these are the dimensions of the actual stone. So this small piece here, this little guy here, is 1 centimeter. The height of the stone is 21 centimeters, this way, from bottom to top. This piece is 1 centimeter in width. This piece here is 7 centimeters in width. This piece here is 8.5 centimeters, and this is 7 centimeters. So when I put it all together, and then I taped, if I can get that on there, so I kind of just taped it together, and then I put it on a piece of board, and then I just put hot glue around the bottom, and I poured plaster in it. So again, you got 21 height, 1 centimeter, 7 centimeters, 8.5 centimeters, and 7 centimeters. So that is the dimensions of the plaster one, and then the dimensions of my cardboard ones. But the cardboard ones with the joint compound on them will end up being a little bit bigger, because I am building up joint compound onto something that's this size. These are 5 inches across and 1.5 inches high. I made them only 1.5 inches high because I did realize prior to putting joint compound on these that I needed an extra 1/2 inch on top so that I can create that pyramid sort of shape, triangular shape in the top, so that the stones will nestle down into that cutout. As far as all of the design and decoration on these, I don't know. I really don't know how I'm going to do that. I need to try to find some really detailed pictures. But here's another one that I cast last night. You can see there's a big kind of chunk taken out of it. I can just fill that with some joint compound, or I can leave it as is, because these are supposed to be centuries old. But the tops, just I'll kind of sand those down. But lots of fun. I'm going to go ahead and continue sanding these, and 4 of these 4 elements. And continue sanding these down and fine-tuning them with these here that I've got, that I'm building up joint compound on. I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to, I have to build up quite a bit of joint compound on these in order for me to be able to carve the shapes into them. Because if you're familiar with the movies, or the movie, there was only one. If you're familiar with the movie, those grooves are fairly deep. I can probably get away with a good paint job to make the grooves, the signs of the elements, a little more evident. But I don't know. I mean, this is kind of fun. I'm really enjoying these where I'm building up joint compound. Maybe I will get them to be more the same size to the stone, the temple stones, since the diva stones are just slightly smaller. We'll see. I mean, this process is going to take me a while, whereas the ones that I cast and plaster shouldn't take me too terribly long. Plaster sets extremely fast. I mean, I cast them last night. Like I said, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning when I cast the stone ones, the plaster ones. So that's so far what I've been doing. I am going to cast some bases in plaster as well. That's going to take a little bit of, I have to figure out a little bit of engineering, not engineering, but how to get that triangular groove in there so I can get about a 1/2 inch sort of indentation of the stone so it sits. So I will be posting updates and whatnot as far as this project goes. I'm hoping to have it finished by the end of the week. It is Thursday now, so hopefully by Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, I'll have this whole project finished and I'll keep everybody updated. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I apologize for not really getting the from beginning to this point, but it's pretty simple. I mean, as far as, you know, just taking cardboard and then cutting it down in those dimensions. It's really been easy. Like I said, I started this yesterday, so I'm only 1 day into this project, and it really hasn't taken me much time. It's surprisingly very easy so far. I think I'm going to have a better time with these that I cast out of plaster, because then I can just take my Dremel and Dremel the shapes into the piece. I mean, you can kind of see some waves in it. I think that was the foam core, the foam board sort of deforming from the moisture of the plaster. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I will keep everybody updated. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be finished with this project in just a couple of days. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see you all later. Take care. Bye-bye.